So this is the morning of the ninth day of lockdown. It is a fairly cold, miserable morning so far. It's dark. It's past 6 in the morning, and this is telling me that it's going to be a cold one. It's going to be an early winter. It's going to be a cold winter, and that's going to make this country so much more vulnerable to this virus. This is lockdown day number 9 in South Africa. I stay in Centurion, and it's quite, it doesn't cease to amaze me how quiet the roads have become. Yeah, so it's 9 days into the lockdown now, and I just thought that I could share with you the way that I've experienced it so far. Let's start with January 2020. I think more people in the world started to notice that there was something going on in the world, but I don't think anybody expected 3 months ago that the world would be the way that it is right now. I remember the last time this one day I went out to buy takeaways, and there were people surrounding me who were talking about this coronavirus in China, and at that point they were talking about the severity of it. 7,000 people were infected at that point, and a few hundred had died, or a few thousand had died, and then maybe the amount was more than 7,000, I'm not sure. But those were the numbers in China alone, and at this point it was nowhere else in the world that we knew about. And then I think once it started reaching Europe, about when was it, January, February, whenever that was, but it reached Europe and the Middle East and Egypt in Africa, and also the United States. Once it started rapidly spreading globally, I think that's when a lot of people started getting worried. I was still listening to the radio one day, and that's when it hit me that Corona was coming to this country as well. It was a surreal feeling. And then the next thing, not even a week after I was listening to the radio, when these experts were talking about it's inevitable, it's gonna come to South Africa. About a week after that, beginning of March, patient 0 was reported, the first positive case. A traveler who lives in KwaZulu-Natal who was tested positive. He had come from Italy, if I'm not mistaken. And that's when I started to get worried. When we got our first case, I already got this feeling that it was too late, like now everything is fucked. For lack of a better term. And that's when I started getting really worried. And when did we go on lockdown? Almost a month later. So just because the number of reported cases aren't that high yet, it doesn't mean to me that we're okay. 1,505 cases today where we stand, it doesn't sound or seem like much, but if you think about it, it could spike any day. It could surge any day. If you look at what's going on in America, in New York City, 300,000 cases. In the US, that's the entire US. Okay, New York I think is about, I don't know exactly how much, but it's really an extreme situation. It's all been very surreal. Ever since ever since I've been seeing it not only on the news but in the streets around me, the way that the world has rapidly changed. I don't know how the world's going to recover from this. I don't know how society is going to ever be the same. I also don't want to be too negative. I'd like to give a few pointers on what I've been doing to keep my mind off of this corona bullshit. Aside from creating YouTube content to keep myself busy and to do something productive. And also for most people who aren't working at this point like I am. I mean, I'm currently at work. That's where I get time to put up some content, especially during night shifts when it's more quiet. But here are some pointers that I've been doing which kind of helps me to get my mind off of the current situation in the world. And that would be I play Xbox One. I play games when I'm home and when there's time. I also make sure to watch some movies, watch some series, just do normal things, just to switch your brain off of all this worrisome nonsense. Otherwise, I'm just trying to play it safe. I'm practicing hygiene. I'm practicing whatever I can to keep myself and my family safe, and I believe everybody else should do the same. This whole lockdown thing has been uneventful. It's been unpleasant. And even for myself, who's a recluse person in general, before this thing, I'm an introverted individual. I tend to keep to myself more in the real world. You know, I'm an internet fiend. I've been living on the internet since its existence. So for me, it's okay the way it is now, in the sense of I don't mind the isolation, but even some days it gets to me driving to work and back, realizing like the world is like at a shutdown. You get some countries where there's animals roaming the streets because the human population has decreased so much that animals are starting to teem freely in cities. This can be found on YouTube videos of this kind of stuff happening in the world. It's sort of like that movie I Am Legend. Then again, it's not a movie, this is reality. It's happening all around us. So it's a surreal situation. That's one word that I can use to describe how it's been from my point of view. Really sincerely do hope and wish that before 2020 is over, that this virus could perhaps be contained globally. But anyone who thinks this thing is going to be over by the end of April or May or whenever, I don't think it's going to be over in a matter of 1 or 2 months. I think maybe, to be realistic, hopefully by the end of this year, coronavirus will be contained and we can all go on with our merry lives. But for now, I urge the world to brace for the worst, hope for the best, expect the worst. Greetings from South Africa. Keep safe, everyone.